mushroom. Budget, 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 mushroom, mushroom. Budget, 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 mushroom, mushroom. Budget, 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 budget. A snake, a snake, snake, a snake. Oh, it's a snake. It's a budget, 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 mushroom, mushroom. Budget, budget, budget.
Welcome, budding radicals and curious reactionaries. Well, I hope you guys have been having a good week. Mine was starting off all right. And then landlord shit happened, as apparently it is just fucking want to happen in life if you do not make more than $50,000 or $60,000 a year. Anyway, more on that later. Um, yeah, I hope you guys have all been having a good week. Um, Yay, liberals! Biden won. The AP called the presidential election for Biden with their projection on the electoral college map. So there you have it. Biden won, according to the press calling it. So far, none of the states have certified their votes, so really, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans yet until the states certify their votes, and then the Electoral College actually votes. Anything can happen. Who the fuck knows? American government is designed to protect power, privilege, and wealth. So anything's game because all of those people have all the control, and none of us have any. None of us, all of us. It's been a fucking week, guys. I'm probably going to keep it to being another short show. Yeah, let's start with my personal check-in. Get that Biden news out of the way and then talk about me. Let's give people that little bit more ammunition. Yeah, I've had some trolls. If you're on my Facebook at all, they used to be just kind of memeing it and, there, and I would just delete the memes because I actually just didn't get what they were trying to say with the memes. Yeah, I just didn't like it's not really funny. I don't know what you're going for here. But then yeah, they started getting real fucking dirty. And just not getting no, if someone tells you you're causing me anxiety and pain, and for this reason, you don't just get to say no. But anyway, I don't really care because I get the fact that I use a lot of inflammatory language in my propagandizing about my ideological views. And if I weren't prepared to deal with other people using that same kind of language, then I would, yes, be a self-reflecting idiot and an asshole. But, I get what I'm doing. I've been doing it for a while, just not to personal friends and family. But now that politics is really fucking important because economically, we're all on the fucking edge. You all that have, the intellectual style jobs, it's not affecting you yet, but I'm a trade worker. I love doing work, building things, making things look pretty, problem solving in, the real actual world. That was the math that I was good at. And, not here's 150 problems, do them. It was all word problems for me. They put me in vocational math and I did really fucking well with it. Yeah, so my work has been going pretty good. It's getting busy. I'm doing Christmas lights. So in the couple weeks of December, where I have off, if you guys need someone to if you want, no, it's a luxury. It's not a need thing. If you want someone to do your Christmas lights all fancy and you could help me out, I've got to find a new apartment because this one refuses to just even have an exterminator come to see where the roaches are coming from, because I'm not convinced that this many roaches are coming up from the sewer and in the sinks. Like, it's got to be more than that. I found more today. You know, like, I have 3 cats. Like, they can't be making that much travel time with 3 cats in this small apartment without cats killing them. Like, it's how I've found every roach in every apartment. It's because cats were like, hey, they found something. And I'm like, oh. So, yeah, and even the neighbors next door, they're like having like big problems with it. So, like, yeah, I get that you have all the poison, but are you licensed to use it? You know, do you know how it's going to affect my animals? Like, he keeps trying to tell me, he's like, no, I'm going to put these traps in. And I'm like, no, like, unless it's like an actual like roach trap that I have to empty out, like, I can't use poison traps for roaches, especially this many, because if my cats eat one, my cats are going to get fucking sick. You know? And I don't trust you bombing the place. You know? If he were a licensed contractor, maybe if he was like, if he fulfilled any of the promises like he made, like when either me or my neighbors moved in, like I would feel confident in his ability to come through and not and actually solve the problem without killing my cats. So yeah, I gotta earn as much money as I can. So if you want well done Christmas lights, I'm gonna have a couple weeks off of my work. I'm not gonna do it super cheap. Like, you have to supply the lights, and I'll supply other tidbits that are necessary that you can't necessarily buy offhand. Um, but yeah, because I need money to get out. Um, Yeah, I've never been this consistently suicidal and not in a panicked, oh my God, woe is me. This grief or loss that I'm feeling is too much. It it's now just I can't afford to live. You know, if I could just fuck off into the woods and build me a little like hovel and not be hassled by anyone, I think that would be my option right now. So, internet people out there, if you know a not weird, crazy, psychopathic person with a large tract of land who is willing to let me Walden on it, um, yeah, uh, I got a Henry David Thoreau, like, or else I'm gonna pop off. Like, I can't take this shit. But in the meantime, I'm gonna try and keep things here with you. So in case I do not make it through the ravages of capitalism, hopefully I'll have left you guys with enough of the information I'm trying to find on how we can organize ourselves and not have to wait with other people with money and professional administrative experience, because that whole racket is a scam. We've all worked in enough corporations. We've all had enough middle managers. Some of them are good and like know what they're doing. It's usually the ones that actually came up through the ranks, but like the most of the ones that make the decisions are the ones who never actually worked to anything. They just went to managerial school or administrative school or accounting school. Accounting is great. Like, we need accountants, but and we need all these administrative people too. But you know, they have to be administrating our will. Um, they have to be like therapists in like a bureaucratic sense. You know, like the good HR people. You know, not the most of the HR people. But yeah, so in the meantime, I've got to find yet another place to live, because I just need like a couple months of fucking peace and quiet. Just some kind of sense of fucking stability. Like, I don't. And if I'm going through this, and I know I'm not alone going through this, That's what really frightens me, because I'm really vocal about the ways I suffer, and like I'm also good about getting other people to speak about theirs, like, so if you need someone to bitch to about whatever you're going through, you can always hit me up. You know, uh, I might not be able to talk all the time or read messages in real time because I'm trying to work my fucking ass off to get out. Get out. Just find somewhere to fuck off by myself, and make sense of something and hopefully write a book before this all goes to complete shit. Because that's all I predict at this point is it's slowly just rotting more because the Democrats are making it fucking clear. They don't want anything to change. Let us just go back to Obama. Everything was gravy then. Our systems of control were nice then. There's still systems of control that are meant to keep all of us from having wealth and access to power. It doesn't matter which side you're on in the liberal divide. Liberalism has one conclusion, and it's authoritarian, totalitarian states. I flipped that. Totalitarian, authoritarian states. And typically ethno-nationalist ones. Not ideologically fascist, because I and us in this group feel it's going to be more close to a private feudalism, a neo-shogunate, where you have all of these private interests that compete. So like the government apparatus is always kind of incompetent and just on the dole for whoever, like whichever warlord essentially is paying them now. I don't know if that was scratching in the wall or like a cockroach somewhere, but I heard something. I know it wasn't a cat. I kind of hope it was a loose cable. Yeah, there's been scratching in the walls too. That's been real fucking fun. The joy of having cats. I don't ever think, like, I am very happy to find dead rats in my house and dead bugs. But if they're hiding in my fucking cabinets, like, if the roaches were, I was just finding them in the sinks, like, then, like, that makes sense. But they're in my fucking cabinets and, like, in numbers. That's not a sewer roach problem. Those have always come up in my apartments, and it's never been a thing. It's just been, like, a roach one at a time, maybe once every, like, 8 months to a year. Ugh, fuck. Tired of fucking being, like, shit broken in the ghetto. Always back to the fucking ghetto and working myself to exhaustion and unable to deal with all of these problems that are causing me stress and anxiety that make it impossible for me to formulate a plan going forward, because I'm stuck trying to fix the problems I couldn't fix weeks and weeks ago. Wow, it's only been 15 minutes. I've been talking for 15 minutes and it feels like forever. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking new place, and if you need your Christmas lights done, I have a couple weeks off in December where I can help you out, but kind of please be generous. It's Christmas. I had to find a new place to live by January. While I deal with all of this fucking mess. Anyway, so let's move on with the show. Let's do our quick segment updates. if I can remember them properly, because I've been sloppy on the show and I'm sorry. Trying to develop this on your own while you are dealing with the shitstorm of capitalism falling out, and you being in one of the most vulnerable industries, and also being part of one of the vulnerable populations to these kind of scenarios, i.e., people with mental health issues, and ideas, and I'll psychological circumstances. Like, I can't be the positive cheerleader all the time. We'll get on to the importance of being critical and being a bummer in a little bit. But yeah, it's these vulnerable populations, man. Like, a lot of us just aren't going to make it. And I want to thank you, if you're watching the show, for sticking with me through this. I hope that we all get through this turmoil together, and we don't lose too many of our friends and neighbors. But yeah, like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it till 40. Even just my health is gonna fucking kick out. I've had shitty diet plus a lot of stress. There you go. That's dead before 50. But so yeah, we already touched on Biden and that. I guess we'll just start with this week in protest. There has not been much protest this week. All of us radicals, I guess, have been taking a break. I know I've been more quiet on my just propagandizing and negativity. Like, yeah, let me give you guys a breather. Like, because I'm going to be really hard on you if you're a liberal, regardless of, especially if you're a libertarian. Maybe that's what my fucking troll is. Maybe that's how he views himself, as a fucking libertarian somehow. Because libertarians are secret authoritarians. Because if you own stuff like my landlord and you think that you can make whatever rules you want, just because I signed some contract that you misinterpret, and maybe I can't afford to take you to court, but I can definitely dig up all the public information I can about you and, use that to ruin your reputation because you've been to prison for some pretty nasty shit. And clearly you haven't, gotten better. But, so there's not been much protest outside of the right-wing protests. Hooray! And there's very little counter-protest. There was the Million MAGA March in D.C. on Saturday. I don't know if you've heard anything about that. I've only seen anything on my anarchist Twitter and my protest feeds. But yeah, they had a beer hall putsch in fucking D.C. They fucking stabbed people. They just fucking ran rampant, and the police fucking protected them. Joe Biden won, and the police are still protecting fucking Nazis. Maybe not everyone in those groups are Nazis, but there are certainly Nazis in those groups. And they are brave enough now, because all of the traps that the media have all walked us into, stop trusting anything done by rich people. Really, that's my prime lesson to anybody. Stop trusting people who have something more than you and are willing to hold it over you. Even a lot of really nice people do this. My landlord was really nice. The entire time I've known him for a couple years. I've lived next door to him for a couple years. And the entire time, he's been really nice. And when he finally loses his shit over some real grief, yeah, sure, I'll give you that a little bit. But then he starts showing who he really is. And now I'm seeing it. And like he's getting all fucking aggro on me for really like easy complaints. And yeah, we believe he's actually tied to the Aryan Brotherhood because he spent time in jail. So I'm renting a house from a possible fucking Nazi. Hooray! So, that being said, you have not won anything yet, liberals. Especially progressive liberals. The Democratic Party, as it stands, is in no way prepared or equipped or really having any will to deal with these authoritarian thugs in your streets. They do not. And it is going to be up to all of us. If you do not want to live in an authoritarian country, y'all have to become Antifa really fucking quick. Now, that doesn't mean you have to throw bricks places. Nobody wants to, well, some people, very few people, some very angry people for some good reasons want to throw some bricks places. I am not one of them. But we have to start actively doing things in our communities, whether it be protest, whether it be mutual aid, community cleanup, houseless support, jail support, any kind of this mutual aid and benefit associations that we can create from the ground up of the people that are our friends and neighbors. And let me explain neighbors real quick, because I kind of use the word neighbor in a different sense than the people who just live in your geographic area. Neighbors are kind of like acquaintances. They're people who live in your geographic area that you are friendly with and have some mutual interests in, right? My neighbor comes over and we just watch wrestling or the car channels or whatever weird thing, we just have this thing, or this is just the thing we do. That's a neighbor. You may not talk about all of your personal stuff. You may not invite each other over for dinner all the time, but you have your things. These people are your neighbors. They're part of your community. They don't have to live next door to you, is what I say, your friends and neighbors. Don't think about the guy. If you live in a Trump neighborhood, of course, don't ask your Trump neighbors to join your mutual. Give them the chance. Like, hey, I noticed you need help with this. We have this mutual aid group. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to, because we're trying to help other people do with stuff like this as well, and you can learn how to do it for yourself. But, if you need help, we'll help you with it as well. Because that's the way you win people, because Mormons got one thing right. So, yeah, these are all called community action groups. This is what we anarchists call community action groups, and you want to start very vague, like a band or an improv group or any other fun activity that you start. You start with a really basic premise that we want to do a thing that accomplishes. We want to do this. We want to start a rock and roll band, and we want to play rock and roll kind of like these bands, and then you build specific goals within that framework, right? We want to have these kind of shows. We want to attract these kind of girls. We want to have this kind of merchandise. But in these community action groups, you're focusing that for community benefit. Whether it be your own and the communities, or purely the communities, or just one person that really needs it. And these can be really simple things, like your friends with mental health issues, helping us, actually coming over, or like zooming, or like helping us clean our houses and stuff like that. I work a lot on monkey see, monkey do. I look what everyone else is doing, and I just try and join into that, and then critique how I'm doing. Like, oh, I can do this better. Oh, I could do that even better if I did it this way. Um, oh, everyone's doing something different now. Oh, this isn't done yet, so I'm gonna finish doing this because I'm doing it so well, and then I'm gonna go join them doing that. Um, this is why I love being a trade worker, by the way. Um, it's this kind of thought and mentality that I get to exercise because this is my ideology. This is how I want to operate as a human. But this is going to be our long topic about the importance of criticism and being a bummer. Which, again, none of this, like, I'm sorry, like, I haven't been preparing the shows lately. This job has been kicking my ass, and it's longer hours than, like, it's unpredictable hours. So after not working for almost 8 months and being, like, on strict, hard isolation, it's been a trick. So yeah, that's going to be our long topic. So we're going to take a break because breaks are good. Have yourselves a little smoke. I'm going to smoke. Feel free to converse in the chats, and the YouTubes, the Twitches, all of those things, like and share, all of those things that you're supposed to do for marketing. Yeah, we'll be right back, and we'll talk about why it's important to be critical, or to just, like, you don't have to, even if it's not you. It's important to have critical voices and hang out with people who are bummers. Like, there's a reason that we exist in the world, and we actually do really important things. So we're going to get back to that in vague detail when we get back. All right. You're being cute. What? What? I don't know what. I don't know what's wrong. You want to go outside? it's just your butt. You're being cute. What? What? I don't know what. I don't know what's wrong. You want to go outside? Welcome back, budding radicals. Thank you for indulging us in a break. Well, it's just me. We don't have Gren today. Yeah, it's been overwhelming it's been an overwhelming life for everybody. So, in any case, the importance of being critical, and having critical voices, because I do not have a choice about being the way I am. I don't know how to other say it. Like, I am a bummer. You know, like, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see I've got some trolls, and I'm not going to give them the benefit of names. You know who they are. They know who they are. And at a certain point, I don't know if they were just trying to be hurtful about it or if they were, like, really getting to a point of honesty. I'm going to choose the latter. And they basically just pointed it out. Like, why do you got to be a fucking bummer all the time? Because life's a fucking bummer and I can't just ignore it. I'm sorry. You know, like, there's, like, all of these fucking problems that I have in my personal life that, like, financially, like, no matter how hard I work, like, I seem to be unable to overcome. And I know this is a problem for a lot of other people. And because I've studied history and I've studied economics and ideology and all of these things, I see a very bleak outcome for me, people I care about, and humanity as a whole for the foreseeable future. If things aren't radically changed very soon. And so I have to just say how I feel and what I think at this point. Like, holding it in is causing me too much stress and anxiety and physical pain at this point. My stomach fucking hurts all the fucking time. Like, man. And yeah, man, like, I don't know how to not be a bummer. You know, like, I've learned to deal with it and sit with it. And like, not be a bummer all the time. Like, I know how to have fun. Like, anyone who knows me knows, like, I'm a fun guy. But, you know, like, every now and then I'm like, hey guys, I know this party's been really fun, but I just want you to know, I just want to remind everybody that Palestine is still being brutalized in Israel. All right. Go back to that water slide. You know, like, it bugs me so much that people can go through their lives knowing so much misery exists, and be able to just build their own personal matrix. And whether or not I have a martyr complex or a Christ complex, I think it's my fucking job to like sit with this stuff and understand it and like and vocalize it when it's necessary. And that's basically the root of me being an anarchist, because ideologically that's the only set of people that I found that have a spiritual understanding, a psychological understanding, and political organization method. And by politics, like, I mean the organs of organization that we use to manage society's needs and wants. Because sometimes we want things that we can't or shouldn't have, like to not wear a mask in a fucking pandemic. But I'm hesitant. I'm really hesitant to be optimistic anymore. I was really optimistic during the Bernie Sanders campaign. And I was really hoping that enough of us would put up of a shit fit that we would at least get the, I was going to say Obama administration, because I'm going back to my fucking mid to late 20s trauma through all of this. The Biden administration, at least get them to start talking about Medicare for all, and to assuage us, and hopefully like be able to hold them accountable to that in some way to maybe get a public option. Because that's how we believe in incrementalism. If us in the radical side, because many of us do, like during the whole voting thing, like everyone kept saying like, you're saying not to vote, you don't vote. And like, no, I vote. Like my stance and many, many radical stances have been, we should vote because it's a small piece of power they give us. We might as well use it for something, even if it's just for attention and to show people that the system doesn't work. But, we still have to be critical of it because we need a better electoral system. We need a drastically better electoral system because I don't know if you guys have paid attention to anything, but anything that the people really want done, that Democrats and Republicans agree on, like Medicare for all, the government doesn't fucking do. But anything that the oligarchy wants to do, which is usually bad for most of the American people, the American government, Democrat or Republican, somehow manages to fucking do, regardless of how much money they need to make up out of the air, because money is fucking imaginary. I'm sorry, it's a bummer to have to remind you of that all the time. But it could also be a freeing thing to know how miserable your life is and how it has no meaning. And you can create your own. And maybe if enough of us can consent to do that together, we don't have to have these psychopathic, megalomaniac, authoritarian, totalitarian fucking rich people lording over all of our lives all the fucking time. And especially these fucking little petty lords like my fucking landlord or your landlord or your friend's landlord. Everyone who's treating us like assholes all the fucking time. So if somebody doesn't remind you of that all the time, people will just sink into accepting despair and misery. And that's how Nazis take control. Because nice people just want to be nice and get along with everyone and have a good time. They don't want to shake the boat at all. They don't want to stop the party. And like, no, we're going to play a couple sad songs, guys. It's okay to be sad. Everyone's having a bad time every now and then. So let's take a moment to have a good cry together. And then maybe we'll move on and start dancing again. All right, sound like a good time. Ba-doom, ba-doom, boom. So I'm a little bit more animated today. Like, I think sometimes, like, my despair and panic might actually equal something Robin Williams-esque good thing, maybe. Who knows? We'll see what you have to say later. How many people really ask if I'm doing okay? Nah, he's not going to kill himself. That was way too funny. But, yeah, like, one of my, and like, again, like I think it's as a result of me having to dive into nostalgia that I've been starting to remember more of my 20s a little bit more. Because I've been, because I'm not using any of the professional equipment I bought to do anything professional, so I might as well put illegal software on it. And I got me some emulators, and just for my own personal amusement. Yeah, so going back to these memories of like, Marvel vs. Capcom, it was always like one of my favorite fighting games, and like, even now, like, playing it just makes me feel like even I'm doing terribly at it, it's like, oh man, like, and then thinking about it, I was like, oh man, yeah, like I was like fucking 20 when I was playing that game with like my fucking couple of friends that I got into lots of trouble with, and that was like the last time in my life I can really remember of like, it was like, it's an open play field, like it's gonna be up and up, instead of like, you know, the first couple downs, like, no, you'll get back up, it'll be okay, you know, and then like now, like, you've been on a solid fucking downturn regardless of what you change about yourself for a solid fucking like 15 years. Yeah, that guy was wearisome. So like I stopped holding in my criticisms a little bit much, because I've always been this way. All this stuff that's in like that, like, I'm assaulting your internet spaces with, is stuff that I've just held to myself. Like, I've been like this way since I've been 13. And I've matured a lot, of course, since I was 13. And when I was 14 and 15, I was a very hardcore capitalist. I was a libertarian capitalist. You know, like anarchy, but like capitalism, private property, you know, like, and I still believe in private domiciles and private ownership of private belongings, personal belonging, you know. But you need critical voices. And going through this, like, and I don't remember where we stumbled on Henry David Thoreau, but one of my YouTube videos, I think, when I think it was the Zero Books video, mentioned Henry David Thoreau, who was an anarchist, a little a anarchist, spiritually and philosophically and psychologically. And he was also a very prolific and famous bummer. You know, like he actually came from like aristocratic wealth. Like his father owned a pencil factory, and he could have like, he was gonna inherit the pencil factory. And he was like, no, I can't treat people like this. This isn't for me. I'm just gonna try and like figure out my own thing. And um, so and in his life living in this little town, this of, of opulence and wealth, um, he was just a fucking bummer to everybody, and like it's just very well documented bummer. Even before he was famous, people were like this fucking Henry David Thoreau. Why has he got to be a fucking bummer all the time? And he even talked about it himself in his books. And I can't remember much of Walden. When I stumbled upon the memories and how I got to like how much Walden, and as much of I could read, because when I stumbled into that book, I was having a lot of crises, and when that happens, when I'm under a lot of stress, I can't read books. Like even if I haven't smoked pot, like unless it's like very narrative driven, it's really hard for me to like keep focus. Um, uh, and but So I was going to do a one-man improv show. Well, it was going to be two-man, but like the God character wasn't really like, he was just going to be reading lines from the book that I pull from things, or I think he was going to pull, God was going to pull the lines from the book out of a cloud or something like that. I don't remember. It was going to be kind of like a lines from a hat kind of deal, where we pulled tracks from the book and I was going to read them, and kind of like, it was called Walden Behind the Pond. And I was gonna I planned to really like get deep into like, not Walden impersonation or Thoreau impersonation, but like really get into his biography and kind of like get a good understanding of his like mannerisms and stuff like that, and really try and embody Henry David Thoreau, because I just really identified with him, because yeah, like especially as a dude, when like you have to have like the big cry in front of somebody, before you can really trust them, so you can see how they can react to your blistering sadness and bummerness. Um, Life is a little bit overwhelming. Um, so, like, and I think we can all agree that, like, Henry David Thoreau is like a really important figure for like literature and thought, and especially the development of any kind of progressive liberalism, if you're into that, and I don't know, it's just it's important for me that we're honest and true about things. Like I can't lie about shit. That's what bums me out, is having to say that things are okay when they're not. Like, if I could just openly anytime just be like, I'm feeling sad today, so I'm not going to talk too much, and that, cool, like, and just let me be sad. Like, you don't have to, like, worry about it, like, and, like, if, like, you want to talk to me about stuff, you're like, yeah, I'll talk to you later, like, but, people are taught through advertising more than anything, the propaganda of our totalitarian state, that we should run away from anything that makes us feel sad or uncomfortable. And I learned doing improv comedy that I should run into the things that like make me sad and uncomfortable, because that's what makes good comedy for people, because that's the thing that we all share together. What beyond any of us having all of this shared genes and blood, and history, we have sadness. We all hurt in the same way. Like, just like I can look at like an animal that's hungry and know it feels the same kind of hunger that I do, and I am ultimately optimistic in humanity that we are intrinsically good natural anarchists that just want to give mutual benefit and aid to all of the things in our community. You know, we just want to be good farmers and good stewards of land and animal, you know? Um, and that's going to take being a bummer for a while, you know, and saying, like, guys, I know it seems like things are great and it's time to party, but trust me, we have a little bit more work to do. Then we'll do the big thing. Okay? Right now we're focusing on the little things, but we got more work to do, and then the big thing, the big happy is coming. All right? But just hold on. And that's a hard ask, you know, like we have the story of Moses. Like he goes away like, look, all right, I'm finally going to get the word of God. All right, can you just hold off a little bit longer? I know it's been like 40 years or something. But, you know, and then he goes away to get the commandments. And like the short time he's gone, they're like, guys, Moses is a real bummer, isn't he? I think it's time to party. And you know who else says it's time to party? That golden calf over there. Oh, yeah. Come on, party calf. Let's go party. Right? Like, and then Moses comes down all pissed off because, like, what did I tell you? And, you know, and then, like, I don't want to be fucking Moses by any means. That's why, like, I'm, like, of the Jesus mentality. Like, if you guys won't fucking do it, I'll just fucking die then. Okay? Do you want me to die? I don't want to die. But, like, if I have to fucking die before you all fucking get it, I'll fucking die. Like, because I'm fucking tired of, like, getting this shit and, like, holding on to this weight and pain. You know? And having to be quiet about it makes it so much worse. And I can't, because of, like, the environment we're in and, like, how I just didn't get treated right in, like, academia and all that, and because I broke like this too early. I was always too much of a pain in the ass and a bummer from, like, right when I was fucking little. Like, I was 6, and they diagnosed me a bummer. Like, he's just gonna be a pain in the ass. He's gonna be critical of everything. I was like, why? Why? I just, like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, so I have no choice in being critical. You know, because I've done theater and, like, all these arts, I've tried to hone this real obsessive compulsive disorder is really what it comes down to if we're going to be, like, clinical about it. Until it's right, I have to obsessively break it down and what's all wrong about it until, like, no, we're doing it right. All right. You know, and, you know, communicating that in an artistic sense is, like, easier to, like, use the carrot and the stick and use more of the carrot, you know, and, like, build people up. But especially, like, doing it with comedy where it's, like, way more personal and psychological because you have to, like, shake people out of, like, a lot of behavioral patterns and perception patterns and framing to really be able to engage themselves physically and mentally in this activity of group creation, spontaneous group creation. And sometimes you have to shock people. Sometimes you have to, like, no, you're not getting it. Stop. Don't do that. Whatever why are you thinking that? Like, why? Like, that's exactly the opposite of what I told you to do. Okay? Just start the fuck again. All right? Just take a couple breaths. Think about what you just did. Don't do that. Try something different. If I'm not communicating it to you properly, I don't get how to yet. So let's work on that together. But just don't do that. You know, when I was teaching. And that's why I didn't teach beginners. Um, because I'm hypercritical and just don't know. I'm not good at being a cheerleader. I'm sorry. Like I've been working on this skill my like whole adult life, especially like doing like the comedy teaching and like having to like really like me and my partners like Anthony like we want you to do more teaching like with more beginner people, but like you're like can you do the build like no, I'm all chaos and like I'm like do what I say but don't do what I do because when I get up on stage doing improv comedy, like I can just abandon and like turn off and like just go in a direction and like listen and work and like uh, push and pull. You know, okay, I'm leader for this. All right, now you're leader for that. I'm following you. All right, that's a really good thing to follow. Now I'm gonna go lead over here. Um, but yeah, you know, like what I really learned in my years teaching and directing improv comedy, this long form, not short form, whose lines it anyway groups, but more theatrically based uh, comedic improvisation, um, was managing group dynamics and like what what roles people play in a group um, that in these senses create like a good show. You know, like you have to have like a couple lead players, people who are okay taking the lead a lot and have a lot of ideas, and who can be really big and but also pull back. And you want support people, people who are really good at going in and adding details, um, but they don't want to decide the direction of the piece, right? You always need an X factor, someone who's unpredictable, and you usually don't want like more than one or two of those in any improv group. Um, and you know, like I unfortunately don't have. I've lost a lot of my notes over the years. I'm trying to get some from my partner about you know what we really like we're working on as far as this like psychological aspect of this stuff. But you know, like you need an Eeyore. You know, and typically like the Eeyore is someone like you want to root for. Like, where did we all watch Winnie the Pooh and be like, man, this fucking show would be great if it weren't for fucking Eeyore. Like, why the fuck does anyone hang out with that guy? Because he was in their fucking neighborhood and they cared about him. You know, even if it was a bummer, even if fucking Rabbit was like completely fucking manic and like a prick all the time. You know, they had to share that forest together and they wanted to all try and make the experience as good for each other as they could. You know, like I haven't read the Tao of Pooh, but I've had friends who like really heavily suggested to me and like, but you know, it's kind of that mentality of like thinking about how all of these types of people in our lives add to the soup of enjoyment, you know, and growth and challenge, because that's all I really want out of life. I want to be challenged every day with something that's going to help me grow and eventually like lead for more happiness for me and the people in my life and my community, you know. And if I have to be angry and sometimes confrontational to remind people that we are nowhere near that promised land yet and we have a lot of work to do, that we need to start now. We got to stop worshiping the golden calf of convenience and comfort and get uncomfortable, put on the shitty shoes we have left and start trudging through the mud. It's mud time. You know, I can't keep trudging through the mud by myself. You know, I mean, if you want to chide me for not having accomplished anything, it's because I'm a bummer and no one wants to work with me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying. I get it. I'm a bummer. We're no one's in disagreement about that. But, like, it doesn't mean that, like, what I have to add has any less value. And the people who try to push that idea are the people who are trying to control you because they want to lord something over you. Because they have something and they don't want you to have it. Because if you have it, then they have less of it. And they want all of it. Can any liberals get this yet? Like, you have to decentralize everything. You know, that's the point of anarchism. It's using a decentralized and collectivized economy where we share everything. We share the wealth that we all create as equally as we can. Yes, some people should get a little bit more because, maybe they have, like, extra need. Or maybe they have, like, hey, you've got this really fucking cool idea for, like, you're going to build, like, a theme park? Guys, theme park money. Theme park money. You know, like, we can all fucking do that. And we don't need these systems of control. We don't need these ideologies that make us feel bad about ourselves as humans, as men, as women, whatever we want to call ourselves, whatever identities we have. It's all designed to make us feel bad and hopeless. Because once we feel bad and hopeless, we are controllable. You know? So that's why they want everyone to be nice, amicable people. You know? If everyone's just trying to be nice, well then, they're going to be agreeable and let terrible things happen. And then, they stay in control. And they use that more and more violently against us as time goes on. So, like, I just don't know how to put things more succinctly than that. You know, that's why I'm an anarchist, because we, rather than just straight Marxists who, like, look at the way I'm saying it is the power of economy is where they focus their perception and analytical methods. Whereas as an anarchist, we focus on power dynamics. The systems, the power of economy versus the economy of power. You know, all of these little transactions in our life that are meant to reinforce an abusive and toxic control mechanism of social order, where some people have status, some people have okay status, some people have a lot of status. They can say whatever the fuck they want, do whatever the fuck they want. They call them a king. And, you know, all the way down the pecking order. And in comedy, we studied this very, very thoroughly. Keith Johnstone was very key on his analysis of... He was not an anarchist by any means. I mean, I'm influenced by his work in my anarchism, but I would never think he was. He was just a weird freaky deaky from the 60s and 70s. 50s and 60s. But that's That's what anarchism really comes down to. It's studying those systems of control that control us on a spiritual, emotional, psychological level through advertising, through through political propaganda, through our relationships at work, through our relationships with our lovers, through our relationships with our own identities, to the relationships with our community, our governmental agencies. Um, all of these relationships that we have are built to keep us in a specific social order that keeps us dependent on psychopaths. That's the only way to put it. The people who want that much power and that much control and that much wealth are psychopaths. The only ways to amass that much of all of those things is to be an uncaring, unthinking beast who only hungers for more and more and more. Like, what's do you've all read your all of your like favorite like literature? Like, this is the archetype, the dragon. You know, so time to buck up. I'm gonna call it a show. I found more cockroaches underneath the sink now, and it sounded like a good couple of them. And I just sprayed the fuck out of the under the sink, just soaked the walls in the poison, and then I used my fucking gaff tape to fucking just seal that door off. Cats aren't going in, nothing's getting out. Just like, that doesn't exist to me anymore. Anything that like I did not pull out immediately is dead to me. That is where I am in my life. That is how I solved that problem. Because, yeah, I can't let my cats get fucking near any of that poison shit. It was bad enough that I had in my cabinets, and then, like, it dripped all over the fucking, like, counter. I had to wash the fuck out of that. Oh, God. If you imagine this, just, like, imagine this plight a millionfold, guys. Like, this is where we're at now. This is why the caption still says we're fucked. I changed the captions this week. Hey. Oh, did you guys notice the color change? The mid-show color change. I rigged up my old lighting board. I didn't program it to the lighting board. That would have been cool. I'm going to get to that at some point. But yeah. So, yeah. Start doing something. Like, don't. The only thing that I think you should do, what I tell you to do, is start a community action group for something. You know, like I'm trying to start. I tried to start. I think I'm going to give up on entertainment altogether. I might try and unionize them. I still need to get my IWW membership. But you know, the purpose. Like, let's take the Arizona Entertainment United, for example. The basic goal was just the betterment of entertainment workers in Arizona. You know, and then who doesn't want to sign up for that? But, you know, from there, you can just tack on like all these minor goals, and then like you can let people start their own little groups within this, you know? But it starts with thinking big. You guys start thinking big, guys. Think big, think crazy. Just let your imaginations run wild with the idea of, what if we all just did it ourselves? What if we just told them that we don't need them and just started doing it ourselves? Like, what if you just went into work and like all of the managers that just didn't do their jobs right, you just said you're fired. Like, you have access to the accounts, you want to keep pulling money, okay? Just don't fucking come in. We're just going to keep doing it, and then we're going to access the accounts, and then you're going to be really fired. But, you know, we'll give you a proper severance. Because, you know, we're nice. as long as you weren't a giant asshole. Then you can get the fucking boot out the door. But anyway, you know, what if we just did it ourselves? Start having that imagination. All right, I gotta de-stress about not having solved the roach problem at all, and now having to deal with a landlord who is really aggressive and, you know, straight like, well, if you don't like it, you can find somewhere else to live. You know, that old fucking parent trap of like, okay, well, I found somewhere else to live like you told me, so don't try and act like you didn't kick me out, because you made it very clear I wasn't welcome to live here if you weren't going to follow the fucking law. All right, Taco. I promise I'm going to run. Did you find something down there? Did you find something? All right. So if you guys are into this idea, fucking like and share. Someone clip this up for me. Cause yeah, I'm gonna be working way too much. To really like, I'm gonna keep doing this show as much as I can because I need to keep doing a show. And this is something I can do from just my own home and invite people via the internet, which is kind of a nice thing. But yeah, like, share, clip it up if you want. Just ask me. I have raw footage if you want that kind of stuff. But yeah, start getting involved in your friends' lives, even if it's uncomfortable. Because we're only going to get through this together, guys, and we have to start doing it ourselves. No one's going to come and save us. You know, what got us the New Deal was a very, very strong and growing worker movement that we just don't have right now. And this fucking depression happened way quicker than the 1929 one. You have to realize that. And the flu didn't affect the economy the same way it did. They just let fucking people die. So that's going to be our choice now. We're just going to let millions of people die, or we're going to keep having a shitty economy. And the economy is still going to be shitty for anyone who's working, because now you're going to be getting sick and you're going to have to be paying for it and getting kicked out of your house and then sick on the street. So, yeah. Keep on that. Get involved, get in the mud. You're going to be uncomfortable anyway. We might as well start being uncomfortable together and talking about it, and just sharing what we're going through. I know so many of my friends are going through similar kind of panic, and they're just unable to talk about it with anyone, you know, and I can't be everyone's, like, I wish I could just, like, talk to everyone and be their, you know, support group, but, you know, I need support. So, I'm going to do some self-care for the rest of the night, and then hopefully distract myself with work for the rest of the week, and not have to deal with my landlord ever again, while I try and find a place. So, all right, I'll see you guys next week. Like, share on the things that you watch on, and yeah, start talking, start getting active.
Flat. Where'd Ren go? Did you say it goes back down?
I didn't hear.
I would dip up off that way and see. It looks like there's like a clearing, or like people go over there.